Yeehaw, indeed.
Every time you
Another,
see
it's such a vibe. I love this little cowboy intro.
same.
I'm going to be sad to see her go whenever I'm finished with this cowboy book.
Well,
Another Tuesday, another craft stream.
I was
Well, another.
sorry to
Oh,
interject, but you are going to write a sequel because you've promised me a sequel that got me very excited. So this intro is going to last for a while.
I mean, the intro to the like sequel writing phase or era. Maybe I'm doing book eras. Maybe that's what I'm doing. I think that'd be a different vibe than
Okay.
that would be more like I don't know something sapphic rubbing bank sounding. I don't know what that sound is yet, but I trust Katie to find it for me when time comes.
That's your brief to Katie. Find me that.
Yeah, sapphic energy rubbing banks. That's
Nice.
give me a music song for that.
Nice.
Yeah, another last Tuesday of the month, another writing chat, as I've called these streams for a year, so I should remember it by now. But and how are you? Joined today by the lovely Malin.
Hi. I'm good. I have finished the book like about a week ago, so I hope I can remember as much as possible while we discuss it.
I mean, it's all about character arc this week, so
Yeah.
maybe we can just pull from a collective mind, a little high mind. I finished it. Well, I guess because I finished like the question and answer part. I finished like earlier today at work, but like
Mm,
the parts themselves was I think I did part 3 this weekend, so it's pretty fresh in my mind. So
that's good.
I'm ready. I'm here. I'm ready, and I'm willing to talk about it. And the book we're talking about this month is Creating Character Arcs by K.M. Weiland. Have you read anything with this author? There's a bunch of craft books I see they've made.
No, it's my first one from this author, but I've seen, yeah, there's a long list of. I feel like they're put in order on Amazon, and it says like this is book
Book
two or
8 out of
something.
11 or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so I
It's
know that
crazy.
she's written a bunch within the How to Write universe, but this is the first one I've ever read.
Yeah. She has a blog, I know. We can just talk a little bit about the author, I guess, Kim Wyland. I couldn't find out where she's from, but I'm guessing America. I
Probably.
didn't do any extensive research. I'm like, okay, it's not in the author bio, so probably not that important. But yeah, released an 11 book series all about like writing outlines and characters and structuring your novel and all that's good juicy stuff that I love to talk about and I love to read. Will I read the entire series of 11 books? Who knows? Um, but yeah. Ooh, Keiko says she also has a YouTube channel where she posts,
Oh,
and I know she has a blog called something like "Helping Writers Become Authors" or something. So she's very productive in like the nonfiction writing sphere. She has
mm,
a fiction series. Just looked up the synopsis really quick because I just like to know, like, okay, let's see what they're doing with all this knowledge that they're possessing. So read a few pages on Amazon. Seemed like kind of a gas lamp fantasy situation called something about. Oh my god, I should
ooh.
remember this. Wayfarer, was that it? I think so.
That rings a bell. I think if it's a Gaslamp fantasy, maybe we should give that to Anna as a potential con title for hers.
Maybe we should because GGG, she's giving gas lamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw like the very much the kind of historical diesel punk adventure genre
Mhm.
of writing, which I love. So I might check out some of her books in the
I
future.
always find it really interesting what books people have written that are fiction when they're known more for their non-fiction stuff. And
But I find that a lot with the writers that I've read though, because we're
mm.
coming up on book like 12 or 13 in the series now, and I've
Really,
always
is that how many? Wow.
that's how many I've done. But yeah, because I did a bunch last year, and then I've done. Is this the eighth or ninth book this month or
Wow, this year.
this year? Um,
Well,
but
you've
yeah,
done one per month, and it's the ninth month. So yeah,
I do six. Nope, I don't do six. I do five like every 6 months. So
right.
I skip June and I planning on skipping November just because I want to focus on writing.
Fair.
Um, so yeah, no, I'm always interested in seeing like, okay, known for all these fiction books, but like, how is your fiction? Because one thing is about the craft, but I'm always
Yeah.
fascinated by the term. What's that? Those who can't do teach or something.
Yeah.
and I'm always curious to see like, okay, but can you apply the to one right? And the only author I have a craft book by Jenna Moresi, which is a YouTuber with like
Yeah.
series, and I've read that fiction series, so kind of I know I haven't read her craft book yet, but I know that um, you know she's very capable as a writer, so it'd be interesting to read her craft book. But this is about Kate Weiland and creating character arcs. Um, General thoughts about the book?
My
Uh,
first gripe is that the title is too long. Like you've shortened it to just creating character arcs, but it's so much longer than that. And every single time I'm like, what is it called again?
Creating character arcs: The Masterful Author's Guide to Uniting Story Structure, Plot, and Character Development by Kate Weiland.
Yes. But it's
Yeah,
so freaking long. It bothers me
that's like
when
a subtitle though, and like
yeah.
they all do that.
But
Um,
general thoughts, I would say half of the book was very useful to me, and I applied it on a real life case because I was
oh, a
reworking.
case study we love.
Yes. And the other half, I would say, was sort of like, I skimmed read it a little bit more because it becomes repetitive after a little while, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. My initial thought is like, first of all their examples are he, like all their main characters are he's, and I hated that. That's my initial
Do you know
thought.
what? I actually hate it more when they do the he and then she, like the swap between both. I'm like, just
Oh,
call it they them. Like
yeah.
just say they.
Well, that was one thing I noticed. Like all their examples was like, who is your character? What is they like? And I was like, main characters can be women too. It's
But
2024. They can be
the
non-binary people.
the funny thing is because KM Weiland's name is KM, and I, unless you know it's a woman, you might not know while you read the book. At the beginning, reading it with all the examples being he, I kind of thought it was a man who'd written this book, and then I realized no, it's a woman.
Yeah.
But it's funny how that just integrated into my mind because of the examples chosen.
Yeah. The book was really well set up, I thought. It had like four distinct parts. Three of them
Mhm.
are character arcs, and then the last part is like question and summary. And that was an FAQ, like frequently asked questions. So I thought it was really well done. Like the structure with logic, like the positive character change, like that bit is so extensive.
Yeah,
But then kind of the flat and the negative ones are sort of just like, okay, take everything you know about character arc number one, and then you
there
know
are the changes. Yeah,
here's what's different instead of just doing
yeah,
it all again, because some people be doing it all again and I'm like, oh, I just read this.
that would have annoyed me.
We like that. Also, every chapter ended with like, here's some questions to ask your character about like the plot or like the change
See,
moment or the midpoint, and I
I
like that.
like I like that this was the format, and in general, I thought it was quite useful. But it was really difficult at times to make sense of the questions, and I had to reread them 1,000 times sometimes, just because of it being like, how does the ghost of your main character impact his lie or something, like it's like, what is the ghost again? Okay, the ghost is that. It's just the way that she used those names of those different things, like the ghosts, the lie, the
Oh, I
truth.
quite like that though, because sometimes when it's I'm like, oh, what's your character Charlotte Glass, I'm like, what does that even mean?
Same, but
But
I,
like
I feel the same
ghost I
that
can
these are
understand.
the same thing to me. They're both
I
like,
mean,
what
yeah,
is
they're
that
all the same
again?
thing. Like, yeah, they're all the same thing. But I
Yeah.
like kind of the terms she used, and I like
No, I
what
don't have a gripe with the terms. I have a gripe with the way the questions were formulated, where those terms were repeated so often
this
that
is the book that we
yeah,
read. I don't have a physical copy. This is the first one I gotten in an ebook, and I will say, physical copies are so much easier to like kind of get a grasp on.
yeah.
Comes with a workbook that I did buy, but I never opened. So I don't know. Did you use the
I
workbook?
started with a workbook at some point because I was thinking, well, I want to use this in a practical way, so I think it's the workbook. But actually, a lot of it is super repetitive. The workbook repeats some of the same examples and then goes through the questions. But the questions you ask your characters are a lot more detailed in the workbook. So if you're, I guess you could be like, I've read the book, now I just want to do the exercises, then the workbook would be useful. Otherwise, I would not buy both. I don't think it's necessary. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
And I will say, I feel like a lot of the general knowledge from this book you can kind of find in other books.
yeah,
Like a lot of it is just like your basic wants and needs and shard of glass slash ghost or whatever you call it, and you find that in most craft books that deal about plot. Infamously, no, famously, Save the Cat has like a section on character before you start, and I thought
Mm.
the Save the Cat chapter on character arcs is very much like the TLDR of this book. I feel like,
Yeah.
but was nice to do like a deep dive
Yeah.
because sometimes like the general craft books can get really superficial with their like explanations and examples. So I like that Came Weiland just because it's very thorough and it's very like I don't know what to call it. It's very like cause and effect.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, this is the character's want, blah 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 blah, and then opposite to the want is the need, blah blah blah. It's just like very. I like the structure. It was a nice. She had a nice pace to it. Had some jokes in it, but it didn't feel like she was trying too hard.
Yeah, it didn't feel overly long for no reason. Like, there was no like an extra 100 pages of jokes to give you a sense of who wrote this, which is unnecessary and, to be honest, unwanted most of the time.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, that's my general thoughts. The way I thought we're going to do this today is that we'll just go through the different parts. There's 4 parts. Do part one because that's the extensive one, maybe. Hop
Mm.
into a sprint, and then do part 2 and 3, and then hop into a sprint, and then pull the plug. So watch out, Grandma. We say hello to some people. We already said hello to Keiko. Hello, hello. Forgot to read the book because I still have a package situation that makes me angry. Ooh, Tally sex tapes. What's the package situation? And I
Well,
continue
last
writing for the fanfic.
I think Keiko was on my stream last time and had an issue where uh can't remember. I think it's DHL, one of the bad ones.
Oh, DHL sucks though.
Said we couldn't deliver or something, but didn't
Oh
even
yeah.
try. And she was like, I didn't even see the truck come in or whatever, and they're quite visible. So like,
Oh,
like,
I have vague memories of this conversation now. Yeah.
and I
Uh,
guess maybe it's ongoing. Unfortunately, that tends to be the case when you try to complain about these things. They don't do anything about it.
all right, P. Sorry, Keiko. Joined by a Wallace. Hello, hello, hello. I am doing a lot of random to-do list items today. Well, we're going to do a couple of sprints, so hopefully you get to check some of them off. Joined by Anna. Hello, hello. I'm late. A wizard is never late, Anna. You're just on time. We were early, and I'm so sorry for that. Yes, Keiko says about the package situation,
Hmm.
and I have to wait if I might get to notify card via mail or not. If not, I have to call them, and the pack station only holds my package for 9 days. Oof. Is there like an app you can use to extend? Because that's usually what I do if I can't
Hmm.
pick it up. When I was doing my little stint through England, I got a package delivered and I had to postpone it 2 times.
Oh, that's annoying. But yeah, the the thing to do if you want to complain, Keiko, is don't complain to DHL or any of, UPS or whatever. It's useless. But I have done this in the past where I've complained to the original place I've bought something from. Like, I had an issue with an espresso package at some point because I paid on purpose for the amount of capsules you need to pay for in order to get it next day delivery. And then it was with DHL, I think, and they didn't deliver it the next day. So I was really pissed off. And I complained to Nespresso and they gave me a free mug. So, and hopefully,
Love free stuff.
and actually, since then, I've never had anything delivered by DHL from Nespresso. So I wonder whether enough people complained that they changed
I bought it
delivery.
on Amazon and it says I have to ask DHL under the order section. I'm sorry I have to do that, but
Yeah, you have to ask DHL, but you can complain to Amazon, is what I'm saying
yeah,
for
you
the
can always
complaining
complain
part.
to Amazon. Anna says the ReadSeek course I'm taking frequently links us to blog posts that she's written as additional resources.
Oh,
So I saved a few of those. Oh, slay.
interesting.
Okay. Did not know that. Did not know that. Wait till Thursday, then I call the DHL guy. And that's an update on the package situation. A different kind of package is package number 1 of today's module, which is the positive change arc. Um, I really like this setup and I really
Hmm.
like this part. I'm like deep in the trenches of my book, so getting a refreshment of like, oh right, this is what I'm supposed to do with my character for like the first part of Act 2 and the midpoint really kind of helps me hone in. I don't know.
Yeah.
really helps me kind of just stay focused and like, okay, so this is what I actually need the text to do. It's very basic. If you read about characters before, you know it's the same old, same old. Your character needs to have like a shard of glass or a ghost in their past that gives them a lie, and then a positive change arc is overcoming that lie, and like that's the whole story in the character arc. And I think that's I forget that a lot, at least, because I'm just like,
Mm,
and I think you're the same, not in terms of forgetting ghosts and arcs and plots and all that, but like we're very plot focused. Like I
yeah,
love a good juicy plot. So sometimes my character just rides along for it, and I forget, oh, you know, I actually need to give them a story. Like they can't just be here shooting things and blowing things up. They
yeah,
should have like an emotional depth and internal conflict to them. And I thought this book really kind of helped me, and it's very logical. It kind of helped me structure that into like, okay, this is what you need to do for, you know, chapter one, like the first point, and this is what you need to do for your climax of act one, and this is what you do for you know, the first part of act
yeah.
two. And I really enjoy that.
Yeah, I like that there was a formula to it, that there was a
Yeah.
accessible, here's how to make this work within your plot. And this book made me wish that this was how Romancing the Beat would have been written. No,
Oh,
not in a
yeah.
jokey way, but generally, I tried to apply Romancing the Beat to some of Space Princess at the beginning, and it made me fail everything in terms of the logical aspect of my plot because it doesn't work. It's just a romance aspect of things, and no story is just a romance. There is always more. And like obviously you can just follow it as like a Hallmark movie type of thing if you want, but even then you still have a plot. There are still other things happening than just the romance. And this book, I think, really gives you practical advice on how to make sure that yes, your character has to go through a character change, and if you want the positive change arc, not a flat arc, but here's how you can integrate that within a plot instead of just here's the character arc, here's the plot, and they're separate items. And I like that how integrated it was within that.
Yeah, it very much was like, and I also loved how it was specific to each beat almost. So I'm like,
Yes.
oh God, I've lost my way in the midpoint. Like, what do I do with the character arc there? Oh, you can just look
Yes.
up midpoint. This is like the change you want to see in your character. And I also love that because I'm gonna dive into it when we talk about the other beats, but like the positive change arc is very much about like how did they describe it? I think they described it as like the character changing priorities. So,
Mm,
you know, the whole want need situation, your character has like a want, which is like the external plot. So your character wants to find this bounty to save the family farm, but then your character needs to learn this life lesson because they're living this lie.
yes.
And I do love that the book was very much like, this is how you find the lie of your character. Like, you can reverse engineer this process. This is how you can link your lie up to your main plot. This is how you find your
So
character's need. This is
practical.
very, very applicable.
Yes.
And this is how you find your character's wants. And this is like, and then it goes through like, this is how it can, and this is how it can look at the start of the novel. This is the change you want to see at the midpoint.
There
And I
is
like that. Yeah.
one thing that is different in the workbook, and I just did not see it unless you saw it in your version, and I mistakenly couldn't find it in this Kindle version of the main book. Is there is a timeline that is drawn in the workbook of all of these that you're citing now. At some point, it goes through the hook, character believes the lie, to like at the very end resolution, character, what happens once the character is living the truth. And it goes through all of the plot point of your novel, like almost like Save the Cat beat sheet when you see it lined up on a timeline. And it
Mhm.
had that as a little image in the workbook, and I really
Oh.
liked that, so I recreated it for myself in a cuter way.
Oh wow. Okay, I need to see that after if you
I
don't
can
want to
show
show it
you
now.
briefly, but
Oh,
it's
we
quite
love a
small.
presentation.
um Window.
Yeah, no, I don't remember that from the main book. And I usually read the chapters two times. I'll read one just to see like, okay, this is the chapter, and then I go back and then I take notes.
Yeah, it's quite small,
Honestly.
sorry, because I put it inside my Notion and you can't see it, like, you'd have to zoom in a little bit. Can I
Oh, you
zoom
can
in?
press the little
I
spyglass. That's
can
all.
zoom in.
Yeah, just click on the
Oh, yeah.
little yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just recreated it briefly.
Oh, did you make this or this is picked from the book?
No, I made this from the one from the book. So I'm not the one who plotted all of these elements. This is in the book, in the workbook.
Oh,
But
but you made the image.
yes, because I'd been
Wow, you
writing
should get
very
into
much.
graphic design, Marlon.
Crazy.
Crazy. I love that.
So I love how I could refer back to this so many times because I basically recreated it so I could use it for Olive as I was working through the books,
Yeah.
different things. So it was so useful to see it all together and to be like, okay, so at the hook, that's when the character believes the lie. But like the first pinch point is when the character is being punished for using the lie. And there's so many examples of that in the book, right? Which I love
A
because
lot of examples and a lot
yeah,
of different examples, which I
I
love.
need examples, otherwise I don't understand the theory of
Yeah.
anything. Like it's necessary for me. But just referring back to this afterwards and being able to refer back to it and saying like, oh yeah, this is where this happens is sort of that's
Very
how it
useful. I
works.
love that graph though. Can I get that?
Yeah, of course I can send it to you. Can I?
Sweet.
I don't know how to send it to you from Notion. I might have just had to get the original and then send
It
that to
can
you.
wait till after the stream. There's no burning bridges.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but I love that. And I also, as someone who struggles really with, oh
Mm.
shit, what does my character feel right now? Because I always know where the plot is, but I never know where my character is emotionally. I found it really helpful to be like, yeah, like at the hook, they believe the lie. At the first plot point, they're challenged. At the midpoint, their world
Yes,
is flipped upside down. Like, well, I don't need, but I really appreciate that sort of hand holding in terms of
same.
writing a character arc because that's something I struggle with the most in my writing. I think is just cohesiveness and like giving emotional depth because I've said it so many times. I'm a police report writer, so I give great incident reports, but you're not going to get any character or substance in it. But it's very effective in
Makes
like,
me look sad.
yeah. So yeah, no, that's something I definitely appreciate with this book is how
Yeah,
thorough and how like closely linked to plot it is because that's something I can really grasp. Like, yeah, I'm just
yeah.
structure is really ingrained in my brain. So to
Yeah,
have
because it's
all the
it's
emotional
also
stuff linked up to the plot structure
you and
really
I
helpful
both
for me.
like the Save the Cat structure and the way that it's set up, and this follows it quite closely, quite similarly. So I think that's
Similarly,
helpful because if you already know that structure, then this is an add-on that is much easier to.
yes, I
Yeah.
think like this is like if you're read Save the Cat, this is a perfect follow-up book.
Yes, exactly.
I feel like okay, now I know all about plot. I know which order it comes. I know like the cause and effect of it all. I feel like this would be such a good like little sandwich for this book.
Yeah.
So if I could pick like Save the Cat, creating character arcs, and then something about marketing on the end, 10 out of 10.
Although, can I ask if you remember in Save the Cat reads a YA novel? Sorry, Save the Cat writes a YA novel. So the young adult version we read together. Um, does she not give an example that is also the Hunger Games? How Katniss goes through actual character changes, I feel like. Well, in this book, KM used that example as a flat character arc.
Yeah.
And that was
Well,
the
what
only
I
thing I was like,
also loved about, we're going to dive into that
yeah,
in
yeah,
a
yeah.
bit. But Kim Weiland also says that flat character is still about change, but it's a different kind of change.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I still think two things can be true at once.
Mm.
Especially because I also like, you know what? I'm going to get so into it, Keiko, that you will have to buckle up.
I
Um,
do really like that chapter. So when we get into it, yeah. Well,
yeah. But that's the thing. Like a flat character arc does not mean that the character does not change. She describes this. Oof, let me just figure out the flat.
it's the world that needs to be changed,
A flat
essentially.
character arc is still a story of change. The difference is that the protagonist is the one changing the world around them rather than the world changing the character, which I really loved. Because I always thought about like flat character, like you have no progression. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, but Keiko, you
Um,
could argue that first and last one, she still just cares about the people she loves. That's not a
yeah.
difference between the beginning and the end, then. That's the
She
thing.
Yeah, and I also don't think she cares about everyone. It
Yeah,
was more a sense of duty to me when I read
yeah,
it. Oh, that's such a great book. I just love the Hunger Games. What a perfect book. What a perfect series. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk
no,
about
sorry.
the positive change arc. Yeah, and that's the thing I really loved about this part is that first of all, it's very extensive, closely linked to the plot, very like 1 plus 2 equals 3, which I can comprehend. And I know that some math people out there is going to be like, 1 plus 1 does not always equal, well, 1 plus 2 does not always equal 3, but it made sense to me.
Yeah.
And I also found the questions helpful at the end. Some of them,
Yeah.
as you said, is a bit like, okay, what the fuck do you mean? Like, what
It's
is
more
this
so, I
about?
think it's what you said about having a physical book. Sometimes it's easier to flip through, right? And I feel like when I was reading the questions, I needed the physical book to just go back to what is that again and just get, like see some of the examples again to remind myself because the questions are very they don't integrate any of the examples. So if you've forgotten anything, you're like, what is that? Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's definitely something I also missed with this, and I think I might actually get it in the physical copy. So that
Mm,
means I have 2 ebooks and one physical copy of the series. So I guess take my money, K Weiland. But yeah, no, that's one of the things I loved. The positive change arc is the character believing a lie about themselves and then having to come to a realization that the lie is the lie, and then get whatever they actually need from the story.
yeah.
Um, I think that's pretty much summed up. And that's some of my favorite character arcs. And they used a lot of examples, which I really appreciate. A lot of current examples and also a lot of like historical examples. That was,
I did wonder if, although there's a few that were literary, I feel like every book we're reading on craft has so many movie examples, more so than literature examples sometimes.
yeah, that might be because I think at least Save the Cat is closely linked to television. And I don't know, I guess authors don't read. But yeah, no, I really appreciate that there was a lot of book examples
Yeah,
from different variety of genres. And they was like, yeah, Jane Eyre believes this lie, and this is what her need is, and this is what she wants, and like this is how she overcomes that. And it was
yeah,
very, very like, oh yeah, I can see this now, like connecting the dots.
yeah,
That meme with that guy in front of that board with the red thread, like, I can see it all. So yeah, no, I really appreciate the way K.M. Weiland has structured this book. I thought
yeah.
the first part was really good,
Agreed.
and I think this is a very solid addition to Save the Cat in terms of like feels almost like the beat sheet for a character. So,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, and I don't know, anything else to add on the positive change arc?
It's obviously the change arc that most people will use and most books follow. Um, I'd almost argue that although I think I'm happy I've read Save the Cat first and then this one second, there's a lot of sense in trying to make this happen first before your uh almost like thinking about your character change and arc first and doing that in the first order and then the Save the Cat beat sheet is the only thing that made me think about that because I would never normally do anything like that because I'm a plot person first and a character person second.
Yeah,
But
I think it's a chicken and the egg thing. Even though the egg, no, the chicken definitely came first.
but
Um,
I feel like Cam Whalen has truly made it feel like here's how integrated it is to the point of you could work through this beat sheet from the character arc point of view and you would still have a plot at the end of the day, which I thought was brilliant. While a lot of
that is
other
true.
people who talk through character change and character arcs, I'm like, this feels like a complete separate element, and therefore I need to figure out my plot first, and then who's what the change is for this character, and maybe that's wrong for me in order to learn more about character arc. Maybe I need to do this essentially.
Yeah, I also think this is something you can retrofit or like
Yeah,
because I don't know. I feel like my first drafts or like the drafts I've written so far is all about like, okay, what is the actual plot? Like, what does it look like? And then when you rewrite, you can go back and see like, okay, now I'm gonna make this an actual story with a character arc, and I
yeah,
feel like that is the perfect thing for me to do at least. But I
yeah.
do also see your point. We were joined by an SD Houston. Hello, hello. Made friends with the like button. Thank you so much. I'm actually attending a webinar, so just have you in the background, but looking forward to the replay. I love Kay Weiland's book. This is my first one, and it was very exciting. So we'll see. We're going to roll some dice at the end and see what we think about it.
And we're also
Um,
joined by Sasha.
we sure was. Hello. My morning meeting ran long. Happy to see you, lovelies. Happy to have you here. Anna requests a graph, please. Let me be the lazy student copying of your test. LOL.
I'll put it on the Discord.
Oh, slay. And yeah, that's it about the positive change to arc. I think that's yeah, no, I liked it a lot.
Same.
Me likey. We're gonna dive into a sprint. I have prepared actually in advance. Who knew?
Are you gonna write your 500 words?
I am gonna make a best attempt to. I didn't write it all yesterday, so
Fair.
I should be right today. I think with KM, the character arc is defined by the lie the character tells about themselves, if they have this lie. For Katniss, I don't think she really had the lie to grow from to create a positive character arc. I
Yeah,
think
that's
you nailed the
sort of
nail.
the justification, yeah, that she gives
Yeah,
about.
yeah, because she does not believe in a lie. It's the society around her that is the lie.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of
Um,
feel like there was an example of her having an actual lie in another book, another craft book, and that's why it
I
made
do
me think
not
about it today.
remember, but I also don't note down examples in my notes. I just do like the
Yeah, same,
actual
same.
essence of the text. So I would have to go back. I have it somewhere on the shelf, so I can probably look at it.
But I would say the lie she defines is more a lie the character believes as a general thing, not just about themselves. But
Yeah, definitely
yeah,
something. It could be like a word lie too, but I don't think Katniss believes in a lie.
yeah.
I think she knows exactly what's going on. She's just not happy about it. Um, yeah, let's do 25 minutes on the clock. What are you working on today?
To be fair, I'm not sure. I was probably gonna make dinner first, and then
How
I've
French of
just
you.
I finished work and then join you immediately. So probably relax a little bit as well. I'm
Do
probably
you
gonna
want a
read.
longer sprint then? We can do 30 minutes.
I don't mind. No, 25 is fine. It's as you wish.
I also need like longer sprints because I
Okay.
like some time to fuck around.
I do like 5 minutes to do nothing and then do stuff during 25 minutes.
Exactly. We are brainies today. Yeah, 30 minutes on the clock, and then we'll be back and talk about other types of character arcs, including flat and negative. Go, ghoul, go.
How did this ghoul do?
This ghoul got 235 words.
Nice. Good going. That's great.
Ugh, the scene was just never end. Ugh, I'm so over it.
Are you in Act 2 now? Or
No, literally at the last 500 words of Act 1.
potentially? You're going to finish today?
Uh, yeah, literally just had this conversation left, but I've seemed to have written myself into a sort of a theological corner.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'll just do a little snippet. So there's setting the scene. The characters are transitioning from the Act 1 normal world into like the Act 2 world.
Mm.
So they're on this train journey and they're having a lunch with this person that's accompanying them. And he's questioning one of them about her faith because she's a nun. And so I wrote a line. I'm like, ugh, I don't even know what this means. But the line is, that is where we differ, Helena said, her gaze unflinching. You see, my faith does not rest upon the existence of God. And I'm just like, okay, what does that even mean? But I'm going to keep it. It sounds like a cool line.
I guess it's sort of the idea that the point of faith is you don't know. You have to believe in something you cannot prove. That's the point of
Yeah.
it.
And then they have this character with them, and he does not believe in God. He's very like pragmatic in
Mm.
his belief system. He's not beliefic at all. So I'm just like, okay, but how do I formulate that? Like, what am I trying to get from this conversation? Basically, is what I'm saying.
Mm.
And I don't know, and I don't think that's a good thing when you're writing a conversation if you don't know what the conversation is about. As a writer, yikes.
I think that's fine in the early drafts because you can always just, put things in brackets and say, like, kind of figure out what they're talking about here later.
Yeah, I definitely want this scene because I think it's a cool set piece, and also
Mm.
the the lunch is interrupted by like this huge plot point.
Yeah.
So I think that's something very interesting. But I just need to figure out. But yeah, I'm just probably overthinking it for draft one anyway. How did you do?
Good. I put dinner in the oven and had a little snack in the meantime. And then I started plunging back a little bit into the reverse outline of Lockhart and Beckett because that's the one thing I haven't really touched in a while. And I just don't remember a lot of. I had done the first 8 chapters and I barely remember my notes about that.
Oh no.
Because it was so long ago now. I've just been working solely on demons since then that it's just been a little bit of a. I needed a refresher essentially if I want to touch that again. Um, and it's hard because I do want to. I have more stuff to do on the art of summoning demons. I'm going to continue working on it, but I'm just a bit tired of it. And I needed to do something else. Sometimes.
I hope you're untired of it quickly because I want that book.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's just that I do have plans on this Saturday to meet up with Marta to visit a cemetery in London with her.
that's so cool. I wish I could visit the cemetery.
So I kind of was like, do I start writing the scene before or do I wait until after I've seen the cemetery? Because I know that the first scene is not going to be this funeral and it happens in that cemetery. So I'm sort of
You could
just
start the scene because there's gonna be a lot of stuff that's not like
I
relevant to the
could.
cemetery, I guess. So
But
you can
then,
just
like,
go in.
work's been hard and everything. I was just like, do you know what? I'm not gonna attempt because I'm not gonna like it. I'm not gonna enjoy the result right now. So I'll give it at least a good day. I'm gonna wait
Okay.
for at least a good day for
Yeah,
it.
whatever works for you, babes. Whatever works for you.
I know,
Um,
excuses, excuses.
Hesty Houston said, I'm in a webinar with Evan Gow and Nick Thacker and a Q&A on distribution covers and newsletters. I'm so
Ooh,
excited to dive into my cover creation. Ugh, yes. But I need a finished manuscript for that. So let's see.
no, you don't.
Good ghouling. Thank you. Wendy's here. She says, sometimes you just have to write to find out what it's about. Also, hello. Hello, Wendy. Some deep mystery. Kitty's also here. Hello, friends. I fed the dogs. I did my scary bank task, and now I have to clean my bed so I can get into it again. We're also joined by Kelly. Hello. Kitty says, I don't know. I think working through things in dialogue is fun, says the Panzer LMAO. Yeah, I definitely know what I want out of the conversation, but I'm just not. Dialogue is something I'm not very good with because just like all my characters sound the same. There's no like flavor to it. I'm just like, yes, we need to go here. You are right. Okay, let's go. He said.
So it's still part of your writing a whole police report,
It's still part of
right?
my police report. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am not jealous of your cemetery date. No, not at all, says
I
Anna.
wish you could come to Anna. I'm sorry.
I mean, you could come, Anna, if you weren't playing.
Yeah, just hop on a plane by Saturday and just yeah,
Hop on a
join
plane
us.
to LAX with the Dream Icon again. If Miley Cyrus can do it, so can you, Anna. I
Just
guess it would hop on a plane to,
London. So
yeah,
I don't
to
know which
Gatwick
one. It would probably
International
be
Airport with a
Heathrow or
Dream Icon.
Gatwick. Yeah.
Gatwick is the one who has the direct flights from Norway, at least. I don't know how it's from Americas, but
I'm not sure actually from the States. I would have said probably Heathrow because it's the biggest one and it's where most flights go everywhere. But I don't know.
I think my flights were. Well, I think most international flights to Europe goes through Amsterdam, maybe,
Mm.
because that's just such a huge airport.
Let me quickly check,
So
Anna, which airport you need to go to and how much
Heathrow,
that'll
yeah, she
cost.
says. Yeah, no, whenever I fly international, it's always through Amsterdam and whatever that airport is called, I forget. But it seems like that's like the kind of tying point to all the airports in Europe goes to Amsterdam, and then they funnel out to wherever they're going. So I had to switch. Well, actually, I switched a lot of air. I had like three connections when I went to America a couple years ago.
This non-stop one from Atlanta, I'm assuming, is to Heathrow, and it will just cost you 1,000 quid if you want to come that early.
What's in a name? What's in 1,000 quid?
What's in 1,000 quid?
But yeah, back into the matter at hand, which is creating character arcs with Kay and Weiland. We just covered one of the three arcs, which is the positive change arc,
And it's
which
the
we both.
biggest part of the book as well.
That is the biggest part of the book, and then the two last arcs are like, okay, now take everything you learned, but change this. So that's definitely the plot,
Do you
and that's
mind?
also something I really liked.
Do you mind rereading the definition you quickly found of the flat change arc? That was
Oh,
like
I would love to, Marlon. Would I love to? So the just to recap, the positive change arc is the character believes a lie, and then the character arc is the character overcoming this lie and believing the new truth. So a flat arc is still a story of change, but instead of the protagonisting having a lie inside them and overcoming it, the lie is like in the world around them. So the difference is that the protagonist is the one changing the world around them and not the world around them changing the character, as it would be in the first case, rather than the world changing the character. Yeah. The positive arc is about the lie, and the flat arc is about the truth. And I thought that was like, because I've always thought about like, yeah, flat arc, James Bond, no personality, just there to shoot guns. But then they
that's what I
said,
thought it would be as well. But
but
then
then they said
obviously
Hunger Games, and I was like, whoa, what do you mean
same.
Katniss is a flat
It was like,
character
what are
arc?
you talking about? This book has loads of changes and people. Yeah.
But then, like, as she goes through it and explains like how the truth works and how like it's the character change, I totally see it. I totally
Mm.
see that Katniss is a flat character because she has no inherent lie that she believes, and at the end of the story, she's like she has no lies internally to overcome. The lies is the world around her,
I
and it's the
do
world
think
around her she helps shape.
she does change, and I think that's the thing that was hard to understand is that as a person she changes, but it's not
Yeah,
because she believes a bad lie that she shouldn't.
yeah. I think SD Houston said something. Yeah. I think with K and Wyland, the character arc is defined by the lie that the character tells about themselves, if they have this lie. For Katniss, I don't think she really had that lie to grow from to create a positive character arc. And I actually, that's so true. It's just like when I read that, like the positive arc is about the lie, and the flat arc is about the truth. You know, it's about them changing the world. I'm like, whoa! I've never thought about flat character arcs like that, and I
I
think
just
that's.
I don't think I
Rem-
knew what a flat character arc was before reading that section, because I just thought, like you, like it was in my head. If anything, I thought, oh, is this like side characters we're talking about, like people who just don't change at
I've heard it
all?
referred to as static characters and not like as
Mm,
opposed to dynamic characters.
yeah,
But I really like this definition. Yeah, Wendy,
yeah,
I agree. That's the best definition I've heard of flat arcs yet. It was
and
just really,
they still go through a journey as well, like for
yeah,
the world
still
to
a story about
change. Yeah,
change.
yeah.
But yeah, she also ended the story where she started home with her surviving. Anna, get out. I'm going to time you out just for that. Family just trying to take it day by day. Yeah. And I
Just
also
being
think,
like, leave me alone,
yeah,
President
because
Snow.
at the start of the novel, it's like she cares about Prim and her mother, obviously. Um, and then, like, she cares for those who loves, and then the rest is just her sense of duty. Because she
Yeah,
doesn't want to be the fucking Mockingjay. She doesn't care about this rebellion.
and
Like,
she didn't
her
before, and she
hatred
still
for
doesn't by the end.
yeah, her hatred was for Snow and like the establishment, the government, is basically just that, you know, they hurt the people she loves, and that's why she does this. She doesn't do it like out of a, I don't know. It was just, it made
Yeah,
sense when I read it.
I feel like I remember from the Save the Cat YA bits about the Hunger Games stuff that there was talk about how she's put into that, she's thrown into that position of savior and like Mockingjay and all that, but at no point does she want it really, and it's sort of like
Yeah,
her fighting against it, and then
yeah.
people being like, no, like you're a symbol now, so
She's like, no, I just want to go home to the district.
yeah.
I think that's interesting because flat arc is different from a flat character, and I hadn't even considered that. I think I guess it like a flat squiggle line character is just like an underdeveloped character, and they come in any way, shape, or form. But yeah,
Yeah.
I really liked her definition of the flat character, and I like the kind of the yeah, just the way she phrased it, and it's just it clicked something in me, and it was just good.
Yeah.
Um, so the flat character arc bit is just like Act One, what do you do? Act Two, what do you do? Act Three, what do you do? How you set it up? How do you come to a resolution? What should the resolution be to have a flat character?
Hmm. It's a little bit quicker in the way that she talks through both the flat arc and the negative arcs, because I appreciate an author who's like, you've already read all of that shit. I don't need to repeat myself about this. And a
For
lot of it
sure.
is similar to what's going on in the positive arc change, but here are the differences.
I heard supernatural flights, and I was like, IMOG. Oh, could you imagine? Deeply tempting to just come to London for this cemetery date because your girl just got paid.
Just please join. Everyone come to the cemetery with me, please.
Yeah. Anyway, back to work. Thank you for your service giving me cliff notes. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. She also ends her story that we said. Sometimes that arc is specifically about the character not changing. Yeah. I think that's very much like the James Bond's cases out there where they have
I
this
feel like
case and they solve it and they don't like really learn a lie or a truth.
yeah, I think I liked. I mean, I don't want to skip ahead, but there's talk about, sometimes action movies in particular are places where you're not going to have as much of a character arc at all, which is different from having a flat change arc where things do happen. And I like that in her examples throughout, there is a lot about the Jurassic Park example, which I thought in my head, I was like, is that really, does that count as like a character based type of, movie? Not really, or book, I've never read the book, but I like that she gave the example as like it can be a small lie and you still have an arc throughout, and you can have several arcs and you can deal with, okay, so this character is dealing with this smaller arc, but overarchingly there's maybe a flat arc at the same time. Like the fact that I think she mentions that the Jurassic Park example, there is a flat arc as well, in the sense of he already knows you should not the truth that you shouldn't bring back dinosaurs, and then he's like, the world around me is wrong, there's the lie. So,
Yeah, and that's definitely something K.M. Weiland talks about in the flat change arc.
hmm,
Is that the reason why sort of actiony movies lends itself so well to the flat change arc is not because they're like bad movies or lack characters. It's just because the whole point is the character affecting the world around them and trying to kind of dismantle that lie in the world instead of dismantling that lie inside themselves.
Mm.
Um, and I think that was a really good point because I think
Yeah.
often action hero characters get like a bad rep for being like, yeah, it's just about like just like
Right.
about James Gunn explosives or whatever. Um, so I think that's definitely an interesting point you made. Uh, the one thing I will say about this bit that the questions I wasn't really feeling them.
I
Uh,
skipped a lot of the questions of the like I didn't really read through them for the flat change arc and the negative change arc because I wasn't writing one at that time. Well, I really delved deep into the positive change arc because that's what I was writing and trying to fix in my story. So I sort of just did not read through the questions, if I'm honest. So I don't know how good they
uh,
were or how bad.
I heard you say that, so I was like, okay, Marlon got the first bit covered. I'll just do a deep dive in the 2 second ones. And also, I'm going to touch on this when we get to the negative character change. That was really helpful for my villain story, actually.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to touch on this, but we're going to wrap up this. Yeah,
And the
just
flat one, I think she mentions some mentor characters can have a good, interesting flat change arc, or like the type of character that is perhaps not your main character, but as important if they're like trying to help your character figure out some things and they know the truth and they're like,
I think very much
yeah,
the Broms out there, like the mentor character in Aragon. I think that's a very good flat change character.
yeah,
Actually, also when I think about it, my mentor character, well, not mine, but my main character's mentor character in my comic book, she also has a very flat arc, and she kind of, but that's also negative because she has this lie, and she's kind of just embraced it and accepted it, and that's ultimately her doom.
oh, you went with
Spoiler
the,
alert, I guess.
did you go with the whole the mentor character has to die thing?
Not has to die, but I feel like in my story specifically, and the stories I like to write, I love a good like foil character that's like kind of
Yeah,
mirrors the main character and then maybe ominously like this is who you becomes if you
you
don't change.
you like a Ra's al Ghul character from Batman, you
I
know?
have no idea who that is.
So Batman Begins, which is an old movie now, so I don't feel like that's a spoiler. I'm so sorry for anyone who's never watched it if it's
I
a
mean,
spoiler.
truly, after finding out Van Helsing is like 2004, I'm as shattered as I can be.
But like in Batman Begins, yeah, his mentor that teaches him everything is Ra's al Ghul. I think that's who it is. I might be remembering
Oh,
wrong.
it sounds like a Dune character, but
And it's like a very typical mentor character and everything, only to turn out to be the villain and sort of, you know, because of the lie that he believes that is essentially his doom, and that you can sort of see exactly what you just described. If Batman were to take that route and go too deep into there, here's what he could become.
makes sense to me. I have a quote from my mentor character that kind of just encapsulates um, who she is as a character, and I'm trying to find it, but
I love a
where the
quote.
fridge is my thought dump? There you go.
Give us the snippet.
Give us a snippet. Because I just thought of it, and I was just like, ugh, this is a line. Uh, let me just say, ugh, I write so much in my thought dumps, it's not funny. I can't seem to find it. Can I just search for the name
Yeah,
maybe?
probably can.
Oh, there you go. Um, so this is my mentor character talking to my main character in his like in the basically plot point one time of need, where they're like confronted with a lie.
Mm.
And she says, and this is very like yeehaw, so put a pin in that. She says, in poker, you get 5 cards. 3 of them you can swap out, but two are yours to keep, family and home. And you're stuck with them no matter how much you like it. So you might as well try and make the best hand you can in life. And that's sort of been her downfall. She's like,
Uh,
she's come to realize this truth, but it's too late. Well, it's too late because her entire family is dead. But
my God, it is too late.
it is too late. But yeah, no, that's definitely like some flat character shit, I feel like.
Mm. I can see that.
Uh, this is just an excuse for me to read snippets from my story. I
I
come
mean,
to find.
please do.
Let's touch in. Um, I'd be so interested to hear how Suzanne pitched this arc for her character, and did she get resistance from Beta's editors trying to hone in on MC arc? Oh,
I
I don't
wonder
know.
because I also sort of feel like a lot of the stuff we read in craft books is very retroactively guessed from big examples like the Hunger Games, where probably I just don't know whether Suzanne Collins was like, yeah, I've thought about this entire character arc and how it works, or if she was pensing it a bit more than that. I have no idea what her methods are. But I feel like all the Save the Cat stuff and everything is sort of analyzed from books that may not have initially followed it.
I have no clue. Um, this is making me want to work on the Eclipse project because I do think my main characters have flat arcs, and now I'm like, can I change this? Is this the missing piece? Well, you are very much a positive character arc girly, Katie, but there's nothing wrong with flat arcs. Flat arcs does not equal bad arcs. They're just different
Yes.
arcs, and I like a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Eclipse project. Which one is that? Is that the witch book and not the witch book? I forget. Uh, I love Ra Al Ghul as a character. Rip Agatha All Along Yeehaw version. Who is Agatha All Along?
So I feel like I told you about this. It just came out as a TV show.
Oh, I know Agatha All Along the TV show, but is that just a name you've given to? My mentor character's name is Grace.
But
The amazing
I
Grace.
guess that from Agatha All Along is a very similar, I guess, type of just from that snippet. I know nothing else, but I think that's what Katie is saying. That it's a similar
Oh,
vibe to the character.
I do not know, but I do want to watch Agatha All Along. But I'm like, oh, should I just watch WandaVision too? Then I'm like,
Yes,
I know
it
the plot
literally takes
points.
place right after it. I kind of feel like you should, and also just because it's generally good, you probably would enjoy it, and you don't really need to have watched. Like it's, I feel like the TV shows sit quite separately from the movies, so that's
Yeah.
probably fine without watching the movies.
Oh, isn't the actress who plays Agatha the face claim for Grace? She is. Catherine Hahn is
Um,
my face claim. Catherine Hahn
cool.
in her 50s, if she was in the Wild West, not because I think she is in. How old is Catherine Hahn now?
No,
Catherine Hahn, age. She's
age.
51 years old.
Yeah,
But she looks stunning. But people didn't look stunning in 1881 at 51. So Catherine Hahn in 1881 as a 51-year-old woman,
roughened up, Catherine
roughened
Hahn.
up, yeah, with all gray hair, and then she dyes it, so it's like mauve with gray streaks in it. And the Eclipse project is the one with the void and the mentor character, etc. Oh yeah, the fold or whatever you call it. Katie also saying, I also feel like flat character arcs are more common, like in older fantasy and such, which is the grandfather of dystopia. So maybe back then there wasn't as much discussion of arcs and changing it. Back in 2004 or 8 or whatever Hunger Games came out.
I don't know when Hunger Games came out again. I forgot the date.
Yeah. There is something badass about a character facing down a lie in the world and refusing to bow to it. Yeah, it's just like, you know what? I had a good run. And I love a positive arc, but I think most of my characters in the Eclipse project are flat, so I should maybe change some of them to add new dynamics. Absolutely, that is something you can look to do. I have myself been percolating in my fantasy projects, so I think that's what I want to do when I finish this cowboy book. But in my brain, one of the characters is positive, one of them is flat, and one of them is a negative character arc. And I think that's like such an aha moment to have about your characters.
I do like that. I do like that trio energy.
Yeah, there's the positive one, which is the main character, because that's just who I am. And then there's a sort of bodyguard character, and she's the flat change arc. And then there's the love interest, which is the negative arc. So
And
it's gonna
that's
be
the
very,
Holy Trinity.
and that's the Holy Trinity, the soldier poet king, as I call it.
Yes.
Uh, but yeah, any final words on the flat change arc?
No, I think we've covered it pretty much.
I do think we covered it pretty much. And then into one that was surprisingly helpful to me, the negative character arc.
Such a good one for villains in general.
Yes, for sure. And I also love again, it did the same thing. It was like, okay, so take everything I talked about in the positive character arc, and this is how you apply it to the negative change arc. And then it just did like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. This is like how your beat should run with
Yeah.
the negative character arc. And I love that. As a visual, like that little line thing you did, oh, so good, Marlon.
And it is separated in three types of negative change arcs.
Yes, there's like, did they call it three possible routes? Is that what I called it?
Maybe. Yeah.
And part three is the negative character arc, or like the third arc. And this tells the story of a character who ends up in a worse place than that in which they started, and then probably often drags people with them. So a lot of the one I like the most is the example she used was The Great Gatsby, like
Mm.
how that's a negative character arc. She talks about three possible routes for this negative character arc to go. And I also love that she just summarized it with like this little line system, this little flow chart she made.
Yeah.
Really helpful.
And
The
it's interesting because the examples were all quite different. So you can see how, because
and
in
very
my head I was like,
literary.
well, a negative arc is just a negative arc. That's just a villain. But actually, no, like you have characters that can just be disillusioned with the world around them, sort of
Yeah.
depressed about it. And that's it. They don't automatically become villain because of it.
Yeah, that's definitely something. To speak of these three routes, one of them is the disillusionment arc, which is that the character believes a lie, they overcome this lie, and then the new truth is just tragically worse. Which is, I think, is the not Scott Fitzgerald. Oh my God, the greenhouse, the lighthouse. Oh my God, the Great Gatsby. There you go.
Oh,
Uh,
I was like,
the
what
great
house are you talking about?
the greenhouse, not the greenhouse, the lighthouse, the green light across this, blah blah blah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I think that's definitely the Great Gatsby character because he has like this lie that he tells, and then he comes out of the lie and it's worse.
Yeah.
The lie being his relationship with Daisy, I guess.
I thought
And I
it was
think
more about
that's
the world. I mean, yes, his relationship with Daisy is almost like a symptoms of the lie, but the lie is, isn't it more
yeah,
like,
I mean the symptom, but the lie is
yeah,
like the lie about who he is. He's not the Great Gatsby. He's just a guy. Hit him with your car or your boat, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of that sort of character. There's the fall arc, they call it. So like the character believes the lie, they clings to the lie, they reject this new truth, and then they believe the stronger or worse lie. The example here was, oh my God, I forgot the example. Can I
I
look it
actually
up?
don't remember the examples for these.
Uh, I think examples are really helpful for me, so I
Yes.
want to contribute with them. Uh, the corruption, the fall. There you go. Wuthering Heights. Yeah. Heathcliff, sort of like the
Heathcliff,
fall
which
character.
is making the news right now because of what's his face? The guy who just because they just put Margot Robbie as Catherine and like Jacob Elordi as Heathcliff.
What?
Yes. And everyone is
What?
just commenting and be like, he's Romani. What are you doing? Why are you casting a white guy in this role, etc. So it's getting backlash all over TikTok. And I didn't even know there was a movie plan for this. So now
I had no
there's the
clue,
news.
but oh, I'm okay. That's the thing that's happening. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to live that truth at some point.
Sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
Is
Also, Katie's.
Jacob? I mean, yeah, he's an actor, granted, but he does not give Heathcliff energy, and he's also not like Romani.
Exactly.
So,
It's
ugh,
yeah. I think people are more upset, I think, about the whitewashing than they are about whether he's a good
as they
choice
should be.
cast for it. Because yeah.
First picture of Dorian Gray, and now this. Why are they
What's going on
removing
with
all
the
the
picture
clothes?
of Dorian Gray? I didn't even know we were doing one as well.
They removed like the homoerotic subtext of Dorian Gray, and obviously
It's like,
Oscar Wilde went on trial, and then the proof
yeah.
in the actual trial they used the picture of Dorian Gray as proof of his like homosexuality. Um,
Did,
so
did
to have it like straight
does no
washed,
one in Hollywood read these books? Essentially, is the question. Are they just like, I sort of know the story, but I've never actually read the book?
honestly, wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, they are insane in the membrane. Um, Also, the third character arc is like the ever so popular corruption arc, which is obviously
My
your Darth
villain
Vaders
era.
out there, your villain era, and I think that's very much. I think that's my villain. So
Mm.
reading this and figuring out like, oh, I can actually use this character arc stuff to plot my villain, because that's something I've been fumbling with in this book. Is like I have a villain and there's like a vague outline of a why, but
I thought
I
you were
don't.
saying of a vibe. The
Well, there's
vague
also a
outline
vague
of a
outline of a
vibe.
vibe, but there's a vague outline of a why, and I'm just like reading
Concepts.
this really honed in on my, oh yeah, this is what I should do, and like
Mm.
this is the lie and the truth, because I think we're all very good at doing that with our main characters, but
I
at
think
least I haven't
for
been
the
good at
villain,
doing
the
it.
first sort of outline-ish that I ever followed was the tragic version of the story on Embryo. Is that what it's called? You know, like
There's
the
something called the story embryo, yeah.
yeah, you know, and basically there's a villain version which is the tragic story, and it stops at some point, and it's essentially same, but then you know, doesn't do the correct route afterwards.
Same, but different.
Yes.
Yeah, and that will be your like Darth Vader's out there,
Mm.
Anakin, like his corruption, and they describe that as a like character sees the truth and then they reject the truth and then they embrace the lie. So
I
actually the
also
opposite of the positive character arc.
I enjoyed that as an example as Star Wars, and also the bashing against those newer movies. They're not that new anymore. There are new movies now, but the movies that came
Yeah.
out when I was a kid, not the movies that came out before I was born.
Oh, like the 2000s. Okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I
she says
just
like it's by no means a good, you know, story arc in general, and
yeah.
she bashes for some of the problems, but then she says like as a villain arc, it's pretty good. Here's why.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that. I've watched them all, but I haven't watched the newer ones, so I haven't watched them all. I also didn't watch the Jar Jar Binks one. Uh,
So you
but
haven't
it's
watched
just
them, yeah?
so I haven't watched them all, but I watched the first Star Wars of the new franchise, like of the current modern franchise. I was just like, this is just the same movie in different font. What do you mean? Oh, like, ooh, there's just
Yeah,
a
but I
bigger Death
think
Star.
that's a lot of the time what people attempt to do when they're recreating or starting again franchises that are long-standing and have long-standing fans, because they're like, here's our way to get more people to come and see this movie, is if we have as many Easter eggs and as many similarities. I feel like that's what they do. Like, I've enjoyed watching the second Beetlejuice in the cinema, but I'm highly aware of how dodgy some of the plot lines are and how it was just pure fan service. It was like, this is great as a fan of the original movie.
I've watched neither, but I do love Jenna Ortega and I do love Winona Ryder. So
Yes. And they're very good.
no need to watch the Jar Jar Binks one. 2 and 3 are fine on their own. I mean, now they're fine though.
I think you need to watch the Jar Jar Binks one and then watch that video essay of the guy who was persuaded that Jar Jar Binks was meant to be the biggest villain in the entire franchise and that was George Lucas' plan, because it's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't know. Also, Hayden Christensen. In hindsight, it wasn't as bad. It's wooden, but I think Anakin is just a wooden character. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, uh, uh, same. Some corruption, huh?
And same
Same
corruption.
corruption, and therefore foils.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. Jay Gatsby comes out of the line, gets shot, and dies. Spoiler alert for the Great Gatsby, who's been out in 100 years.
But also am I wrong? Because obviously I've not read The Great Gatsby, so I have no idea. But my understanding is the example she gives in the character arc book is not Gatsby himself, but the character that we
Yeah, the
follow.
main character.
I forgot his name.
Ugh,
Something,
Paul,
something
John,
basic like
Richard.
Edward or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, it's the
Forgot.
friend character, or like our entry into the world.
Yeah. So that's his lie that we're sort of following, and his disillusionment when he realizes actually that world sucks and no one is as good as I thought they were.
Yeah. Ah,
Nick, thank
Nick,
you. Like I said,
Nick.
it's, you know,
So
sort of a
basic
basic
mission name.
name.
The main character in my space project is called Nick.
I like the name Nick. I just think it's basic, you know.
It's Nick without the K though, because we're in the future. So
Oh,
that's
Nick
how you
without
know.
because we're in the future.
That's how you know we're in the future, because it's just NIC. Um,
Like
and George Lucas is a bad
Paul in
director.
Dune and
Speaketh the
Jessica.
truth, Wendy. Horrible director.
Yeah.
Nick Carraway.
Nice.
I think The Great Gatsby is the only classic. No, we read The Great Gatsby, and then we read The Color Purple for my advanced English class in high school, or in Yeah, in high school.
What did I read? For like classics in English literature. We read like a lot of Shakespeare in high school, and a lot,
Oh.
yeah.
Nick Carraway's character is so much more interesting if read through a homoerotic lens. The gay Gatsby, if you will. That's
The
funny.
gay Gatsby.
The gay
Everyone is
Gatsby.
gay in everything. Seems like.
As they should be. But I also I have the same gripe, like all these remakes and all this like modernization of classics where they're like, yeah, making them different sexualities and genders and stuff, and I'm just like, oh, just make new stuff. I'm so tired. I don't need another remake. Just make new stuff. Make a new superhero. We don't need a female Superman. It's already been
Yeah.
done. It's boring.
But I mean,
Uh,
Supergirl exists though. But yeah.
yeah. I went to a small wine tasting for a friend's b-day, and there were legit three Nicks among us. Very
See?
common name.
See?
I'm not arguing the existence of Nick. Yeah. Anything else to say about the negative change arc?
No, except I think I'll do like you and try to use it for future villain character building. I
If you see
don't
it through
think I
the
will.
villain lens, I found it really helpful.
Yes, I don't think I will ever want to write a book that has a disillusionment arc or anything like that for any of my main characters, at least, if that makes sense. I just don't think that's for me. I like a happy ending. I like things to be more exciting than that by the end of a book. So I know that's not for me.
I like a happy ending, but I don't like a too happy ending. I don't like a neat bow on it, if that makes sense.
I
Like
think,
Harry Potter
yeah,
was just like, oh my god.
that was tragic. Everyone hated it. But
Yeah.
the Hunger
But
Games
the
for me is
Hunger
a good
Games,
example.
perfect. 10 out of
Yes,
10.
that's a good example of, yes, there is happiness, while at the same time we know nothing is perfect and there are still, things to
Yeah.
deal with, but
I thought
small.
that series could not have ended better.
Hmm.
In The Great
Oh,
Gatsby, Nick is such a unreliable narrator, but it's also being told retrospectively. Anyway, I'll stop before I go into an essay.
you can, because I've not read it, so I don't
Yeah,
mind.
they
It's
would
so
have to pay
amusing.
real writers for that, lol. Why do that when you can just keep skating on by nostalgia? I know, Wendy, it's sad.
Yeah.
And I think that wraps up the negative character arc. There's another part of the book, which is part 4, which is a Q&A session where she's taken like the most common questions he gets, the most
Mhm.
frequently asked questions, if you will.
That was
I'm not
really
going.
useful, actually.
Yeah, I'm not going to go through it, but it's really because the questions are like, how can I figure out what my character's arc should be? Can a character's arc be a subplot? How can I use reward and punishment to get my characters to change? What if my story has no character arc? Like all these kind of questions, she's gathered them into chapters. So it's really useful, but it's just like not very riveting content and not very.
I thought it would have been useful for me to know some of these earlier, like her talking through multiple character arcs, or when you have very little or subtle character arcs, and when that happens in particular in action-oriented books and things like that. Like not just
Yeah.
movies, but books as well. I imagine like thrillers and stuff like that sometimes have that vibe. I almost wish she'd covered some of those aspects earlier, because as I was trying to use the positive character change in my book, I was like, I have to follow this by the letter, and I was being a little bit too obsessively OCD about it. When in
They're more
reality,
like
I think,
rules than no, they're more like guidelines than actual rules.
yeah, and I think she sort of covers that fact afterwards, like towards the end of the book, where she
Yeah.
kind of goes, "It's okay if this doesn't fit exactly this, or if this is different from that," and it was, yeah,
On one of the chapters is also how do I write a character in a series or a character arc in a series.
yes,
So like a bunch of helpful questions. There's like 10 of them or whatever. So I definitely feel like it's good if you're like struggling with some chapters. You could
mm.
just have a glance at that, see if you can get your answer there. But yeah, I'm not going to cover that in a like its own little point. And I think that completes the sort of discussion part itself. We're going to go into a sprint, I think, and then we're going to do a little wrap up, like a little summary, the usual questions. Um,
I think I will eat during that sprint because
I am
then.
also going to eat during that sprint. If you have any questions for me and Malin about this book or about character arcs, pop them in and we can maybe go through them. Uh, all right, I might have to purchase this book and read it. It feels like it might be for me. Honestly, Katie, we talked about it in the first part that you missed because you were not here, because you were feeding your dogs, because she doesn't love me more than she loves her dogs. But this is like, if you read um, Save the Cat, this is a super, super good follow up.
Yeah.
So I think if you have the knowledge of Save the Cat, if you enjoy that sort of structuring and plotting, I think this character arc book really will resonate with you if you enjoy Save the Cat.
However, I also think it's mostly useful for people like you and me who don't aren't primarily character people as
Well,
writers.
something I also think like sometimes because Katie, I feel like is a very intuitive writer,
Mm,
so she writes these characters arc intuitively without having kind of a, oh, we're now in the midpoint beat, so I need to have this character moment. Um, but I think like having sort of, I guess, validated your thoughts or your process, or just like
yeah,
kind of tangibly see it written out can be helpful.
yeah,
Um, so I think this book would be
and
for you, Katie, because you love
potentially
characters.
retroactively having a look at whether you did it the way that you wanted to, essentially.
Yeah, and also it's like $4, so yeah, you can afford it. If you can afford a plane to England, you can afford this book for $4.
Yeah, when
Uh,
should I expect you, Katie?
yeah, tea time maybe. Tea time Sunday. No, Saturday was that it? Uh, I'm working sadly, otherwise I'd come.
We're doing lunch at 1 and then going to the cemetery. So if you've got time to come before.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I'm pretty intuitive with my character, and I think having the language when I'm stuck would be helpful. Absolutely.
A
This
good
is a
checklist.
great summary.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go into another sprinterino. I'm going to do 25 minutes because we're edging on 2 hours. And actually, do you have to go at the top of the hour?
No, I just have to eat during the sprint, and then
Okay,
that's
then
it.
we'll do. Do you want to do 25, 30? Do you have any preferences?
25 is good if you wanted to do 25. Happy with
Yeah,
anything.
I'm easy, as we all know. I'm just trying to find that one cowboy timer that I'm looking for to get me in the mood.
Katie says the way it literally would, but my nephew is getting baptized on Sunday, and then I'm going to Colorado. So
Yeah. So let's not do 59 minutes.
it's like, that is not the minutes we agreed to.
Okay, 25 minutes on the clock. Let's Go, Ghoul, go. That was our second and last sprint of the evening. How did you do, Moncherie?
I did well. I ate my dinner, which was delicious, and then while I was eating, I was watching a video. I wanted to watch a video that was relevant to this topic, and also felt like I was doing something semi-productive. So
Okay.
I started watching how to write interesting characters, which is an old video by Lin D. Jung, and it's more like brief tips on how you can differentiate your characters a little bit more from each other and things like that. So was useful. And then I did a little bit more of my reverse outline. I'm still within the same chapter as earlier, so not mega progress, but a bit of progress.
Do you do a Notion outline or?
Yeah, I'm doing I can show you the top bit. I feel like I've shown this
Yes,
in
100%. Also, if you haven't checked out Mollen's part 2 to her Notion video, it just dropped yesterday. Just dropped, just like the hottest single
just
of the
draft.
year, the hottest video of the summer. But it just dropped the. Oh wow, this is.
So I'm not going to show too much, but essentially I'll just leave like the top or something. But essentially I'm writing chapter 1, scene 1.1, because it's in chapter 1, what happens, what it does, the word count, and then changes I'm thinking of doing as I am rereading that chapter in that scene.
Ah,
And sort of like how to improve it, things I want to change, because maybe I pants my way through some bits and then the ending changes what the beginning should look like and stuff like that. So essentially, yeah. Like for
I
instance,
like
she gets a
it.
call from her mother to talk about Christmas, but then I've changed my timeline a bit more. And now the first chapter happens a lot sooner than that close to Christmas. And so, although it's meant to show a bit her estrangement with her family, I'm not going to think, okay, maybe this could be an email in her inbox she sees when she's home, and it can introduce her flatmate as well because she also doesn't like her flatmate. Things like that.
Oh, there's
So,
nothing more devastating than a flatmate you don't like.
I mean, it's a very London experience, and this happens in London, this novel. So I felt like this was true to the London experience. You have at some point a flatmate you really dislike and don't understand how these people exist.
I've only had flatmates I like actually,
Really?
so can't
Well,
relate.
don't
And
come to London.
I've had three flat, or
I
3 periods in my life where I had flatmates.
I once had a flatmate who thought that ISIS was climbing through my window at night and
The
called
goddess or the criminal organization?
the criminal organization, and the police was at my door at 8 a.m. before going to work, and was like, we obviously don't really believe her, but can we like check? And it was a shoebox of a room, like it was so tiny. I was like, there's not much to check, but go ahead.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so I'm just saying, bad flatmates experience as sort of an understanding amongst Londoners. If you've lived in London, you've had a bad flatmate at least once, unless
What
you're
did
rich.
she think you were? ISIS climbing through your window?
She was a bit mental, and I think she was having a breakdown. She once smashed her phone in the kitchen because of some guy, and I don't know what exactly, because I was trying to stay
Ew.
away as much as possible. And it was during
Ew.
my first 6 months of moving in and not having, an idea of where I should live, except not too far from work and everything, and not having much time to find a place. You end up with interesting characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything, I think I was the problematic flatmate.
The
But
problematic flatmate. In what way?
I just like I was just a guy living with 4 girls, so it is going to be what it is going to be. In terms of like, I don't know, I might not
You strike
always have done
me.
my communal tidying
I was going to say, you strike me as someone who likes his space to look really neat and nice and pretty. So I don't
at
know.
the ripe old age of 36,
Ah, yes. Okay, fair enough. Before
but
you
at
were
the ripe
more,
old age of 18, 19,
then maybe you were probably more sad boy house material at the time.
I was that was like the height of my blaze era, as I call it, my like synth goth punk rock era where I just like drinking 3 days a week, stuff like that. Just like your regular college experience.
But I think
Um,
that's sort of okay if you live with the people who have the same mindset. And that's the main thing. It's
we were
hard.
known as like the party floor of our building.
Yeah, it's difficult when you move in somewhere to know at the beginning whether you're going to be in the same mindset as the people you're moving in with. And I think especially in London, where it's sort of things have to happen really, really quickly, a lot of the time they're like, this room's going to be taken if you don't want it, in a week or something. And it's just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I'm best friends with one of my flatmates from college, so it turned
that
out.
is nice. That is nice.
Let's see. Uh, Katie had a question. Love Lynn. Need to watch it again. The Notion video. Yeah, there were some. Yeah, yikes.
No, she didn't think I was a tourist. She thought a tourist was going to attack me and come through my window because
Yeah, the high value
obviously
target that is,
I think
Mullen tries.
it was very clearly there was an actual mental health issue there that I just knew nothing about because I did not really know this person. So yeah,
Okay, so let's not make fun of it. Katie says, I also think I was a problematic flatmate in college. I was also depresso and bad at communicating.
espresso depresso.
Well, I was like at the height of my gamer career in college. Like I started playing World of Warcraft as I started college. Big mistake. But I would like go to school, go home, go to bed, get up at like 9 p.m. maybe,
Mm.
sit in my room all night and game, and then go to school in the morning, and then go home, go to bed. So I rarely saw my. So in many ways, I was the ideal roommate.
Yeah, if
Uh,
anything, it's
yeah, I
fantastic.
kept to
'Cause I
myself.
used to be the I don't really want to step out of my room if I hear other people are cooking in the kitchen right now person. I was like, then I guess I'm not eating until like in an hour from now.
Oh, well, I don't know. I'm still friends with the girls I live with, and we get together every now and then. Like for some reason, like that best friend I have from college, she's like the anchor, and then we all just as she celebrates milestones in her life, we get together. So like for her
Mm.
40th birthday, we were all there. For her wedding, we were all
That is
there.
sweet.
So we meet again every decade or so.
Oh my
Um,
god, Wallace.
my roommate had sex with the dude while I was in the room, so I woke up to the bed squeaking and then it moans. My bed was 5 feet from theirs, mind you.
No, but like
God.
this is literally a scene from a horror movie, but then it turns out she's getting killed, and like that's like a
Yeah.
classic old '90s horror movie where she's like, oh my god, she's having sex with that guy in her bed, and like hears squeaking and moaning or whatever, and doesn't realize actually the roommate is getting murdered.
Yeah, that was a lot. And we had a question from Katie said, "Oh, I have a question. Zoz, if you covered it already, did the book cover different kinds of lies characters believe? Because I fear my characters all have the same one fear. Sorry, not fear. I meant lie about themselves. It did not.
But it has a lot of examples. It doesn't
It does
have a
have a lot of
list.
examples.
Yeah.
Can I just present this? Let's see. Bloop. These are like the notes I made
Can you
on
can you zoom
the.
in?
Oh, can I? I don't know.
Yeah, you just do a command plus, or
Does
I
that
think
work?
yeah,
Nope.
that did work.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So how do you feel about lies characters believe?
Oh, Stieg? Is it me? Is it Stieg? Is it me? Am
What
I
do you?
still there? Hello?
What?
Oh, you're back.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes. Was it me? Did I disappear, or was it you?
Probably me.
Okay. I don't know.
It didn't have a specific like list of lies, but it had a list of symptoms, and then as Malin
Hmm.
said, it went into like details about it was like 10 different examples or something. Like this is the lie of Jane Eyre, this is the lie of Cars, this is the lie of Ebenezer Scrooge in a like Christmas Carol.
But the
Uh,
interesting thing is that they're very like almost like sayings, like idioms. It felt very general.
yeah,
And
so like
yeah.
you deserve to be loved, or like you don't deserve love, or
Like, it
and I'm
wasn't like I
just
believe this lie about myself. It wasn't like a specific, very
yeah.
like, oh, I believe that me as a person doesn't deserve this. It's like people don't deserve love unless they serve others, type of thing. It's like a
Uh,
generalization of the lie, if that makes sense.
I will read you some examples.
Yes.
What is the lie? These are some examples. The lie from Thor is that might makes right. The lie from Jane Eyre, the only way to earn love is through servitude. The lie from Jurassic Park, kids aren't worth taking care of. That's the takeaway from Jurassic Park.
No, that's
Okay.
the lie, not the takeaway. The truth is
uh,
the takeaway, which is the other way around.
Toy Story, your only worth is being the favorite. Three Kings, money is not to be treasured more than people. Yada yada. So
So
that's
yeah,
like,
because essentially, if the lie was more a lie about themselves, then it would be I don't like children. But the lie of
yeah.
Jurassic Park was not I don't like children. It was I don't think kids are worth taking care of. They're not important or interesting enough, which is a more general lie.
Okay. Let's see. Gotcha. Good to know. Oh, I like these examples. I can take my basic one and give it more specificity. That's something they do say, that your lie should be, you should be able to summarize it easily in one sentence. And let me just pull up. How do you find the lie? First, examine the plot. It might already be evident in the conflict. And then second, look at the characters' actions and especially their reactions. See if you spot any of the following: fear, extreme hurt, inability to forgive, guilt, horrible secrets, shame over something done or suffered. None of these are the lie, but they are often products of the lie. Because so many of my characters' lies are just, I'm unlovable. Thank you. I don't know. Maybe you should work on this, Katie. Maybe it's projection. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's like instead of just being I'm unlovable, it would be people are not lovable if they've shoplifted. I don't know, that'd be like that would be your lie, for
Yeah,
instance, and then it'd be like, oh my god, they believe that in general, not just for themselves but for anyone, and then they have to overcome that.
yeah. I hope that answers your question. Speaking of questions, Malin, who is this book for?
People who have just finished Save the Cat.
10 out of 10 agree. I think this is for people who struggle with character progression, character creation, people who want like a more save the cat structure approach to character creation. Because I feel like Story Genius, Story Genius, Story Genius was very like the antithesis of this. Because I feel like Story Genius is just very like wishy-washy in its character
Yeah,
creation. It's very much just like, it's a vibe.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
I kind of
No, no,
felt that
no,
way.
no self-reflection here. I just write my trauma through my characters. Thank you for your great answers. You're welcome, Katie. Anytime, babes. But yeah, I think this is a great follow-up book. If you haven't read craft books, if you're reading Save the Cat, this is a great one to follow up with.
Yeah,
Closely linked.
agreed.
Um, and that's who I think this book is for. I think it's for people like you and me, Malin, who
And
are
it's also
great
for
at plot, but doesn't really
yes,
know what to do with characters.
it is also for, as you've touched on it before, sort of any stage you're at in your writing. Because I personally want to try and use this as well for before I like to start a character with, but I'm also technically right now using it retroactively for Olive in Demons. So it's useful at sort of multiple stages of your writing.
Yeah, agreed. Do you see yourself using this in your own writing process?
I feel like I've answered that. I am trying to integrate it.
Yes, no. Would you
Yes.
recommend the workbook?
I think the workbook is useful if you want to skip over the bigger explanations and want more examples. I think it's a little bit more like that, but it does cover some of the same points. You don't need both, I think, is the main thing. You sort of, because there are also exercise questions within the main book. So you almost are already doing it if you're following up on these questions.
Yeah. And I do agree. I see myself using this in my own writing. I see myself pulling it on the shelf when I'm sitting down to outline a story, getting the 5 Ps down. We love the 5 Ps in this house.
Yes.
Like figuring out, okay, what is the lie? What is the want? What is the ghost? How does it all fit together? What does it mean? As Miley once sang, what does it mean? And finally, roll the die. Rating 1 to 6.
Um, I would put it at a 5.
Ooh,
It's pretty good.
it's very good.
I think it's a 5 because it's very usable. It's very user friendly, and I love that she didn't faff around with a bunch of little jokes and trying to show her personality through the book. No offense to other craft writers, I'm just not buying that book for that reason. I'm not buying. I mean, maybe some people are, and the exception might be a little bit Sasha Black because I kind of like her on social media as her social media presence. But more often than not, it might not hit right, and it annoys me more than anything. So I appreciate that this was a lot more you came here for a reason. Here's your stuff.
Here's the reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I give a 5 too?
I feel like
Because
you
I
were
feel like
at least at a 4, at least.
Because I feel like Save the Cat is 5, and this is a solid 4.
Would you ever give 6 to any book, any craft books? Have you given 6 to any of the craft books you've read?
I don't think so.
Because
If
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 you
I
did,
did, it would
I
have to
think
be Save the Cat.
I was going to say if you did, I think it would be Save the Cat, and then you would put this one out of 5.
Yeah, I think that's the statement. I can't. Don't remember if because I don't think I did that whole the roll die thing
Oh,
for
maybe
Save
not.
the Cat because that wasn't the thing back
But you're
then.
going to do it when you do your chair ranking of all the craft books you've
Yeah,
read
that's
so
coming one
far.
day, maybe. Who knows? Um, but yeah, no, I think yeah, Save the Cat is a 6 because that's a solid craft book. If you ever need a
Mm,
craft book on writing, that's the one I'd recommend.
yeah.
And I guess this would be a 5 then. Uh, with an asterisk that I might change my opinion in the future. But yeah, this is one notch below Save the Cat, whatever Save the Cat is at. But yeah,
Yeah.
a 5 I think too. It's pretty solid as far as craft book goes. I really enjoyed it, and I'm gonna buy the physical copy. I think.
Yeah. I might too,
Yeah.
actually. That's a good idea. Or
Uh,
need to evolve my notes so they're more like yours, properly done in Notion.
oh, I love taking my notes in Notions. Oh, I just feel like such a Notion boiler now.
I would have if I wasn't trying to do the exercises, but I was like, I can't do both. Either I'm doing the exercises for
Yeah,
Olive in Notion using the book, or I'm
that's
taking notes in
fair.
Notion.
That's
Yeah.
very fair. I just took the notes and then I thought about my characters, but I didn't do any actual work because I was like, I just got to get this done now, and I'll do the character work later. But I did think about it, and I'm gonna definitely go back now that when I finish Act One, which is gonna be tomorrow or today, tomorrow probably, realistically.
I
It
mean,
is
you're
it
very
is
close.
9:30, so
How many words do you need still, do you feel like? Like how much
oh,
more?
like 500 words would be like,
Okay.
I don't know.
And have you written your 5 of the day today?
No, I'm at 388. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I'm gonna finish tomorrow for sure, and then I have Thursday off, so that gives me ample time to sit down, work through my character stuff, and then do 500 words into Act Two.
I feel like
Um,
that should deserve a Jot approves tomorrow if you do finish your
you don't get job approves for finishing acts around here.
Y
We're not giving out
finishing
candies to
Act
babies.
1 quite quickly as well. Like,
Super slow.
what do you mean?
I started like 2 months ago.
Yeah, that is good. You have a full-time job, Stieg. 2 months is a good amount of time to write 1 act.
I don't feel like that. I was like, ugh, I've been so
Please
slow.
appreciate your own efforts more. Like, it's impressive.
Kid would give me Meryl, and I'd take a Meryl. I'd happily take a Meryl. Yeah, no, that's the wrap up. 5 from me, 5 from Marlin, and that's what I got on creating character arcs by K.M. Weiland. I might check out some of her other books in the future. I don't know. Who knows?
She's done one on character types as well, which sounds vaguely interesting, but I don't know. It's
I
like
mean,
a
there's 11 books in the craft series, so
yeah,
surely there's something I could check out there.
yeah.
But I'm getting to the point where I have so many craft books and just I only do one a month. Like I do 10 a year. I can't possibly go through, and there's so many craft books in so little time.
So
Like, yeah, I this year, let's see, do I have my reading log? I read one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 craft books this year, and I read 2 books, like 2 fiction novels.
mm.
So it's getting to the point where my craft book time is eating into my fiction time, and I would prefer to be fiction time. But I'm also really enjoying this crafting.
I mean, you can always
So
start doing like the nostalgia train club vibes, do reading fiction books and then having a discussion about those instead.
I don't want to encroach on Violet's territory,
Well,
and
it doesn't
also,
have to be nostalgic books, is the thing. It can be recent books instead.
yeah, I don't know what's the antithesis to nostalgia.
Um, I don't know.
I have no clue. Anyone call
Future or
in? Any
something.
writers out there? If you're watching, girl, don't talk to me about not writing.
And please click on that validation from Katie. That is pretty fast. Coming from a
Oh,
fast writer.
that's pretty fast coming from a fast writer, even though she hasn't been writing LMAO. Novelty?
Yeah, but that's not a feeling about the books, right? Nostalgia has a feeling about something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Talking to Katie. Yeah, no, I don't know. As always, I just feel like could have done better. Thank you so much for coming to this live stream, 2.5 hours in.
Thank you for
As
having me.
always, Malin, thank you so much for being here. It's always a blast. I love it that I can just schedule time with my friends whenever. Uh, that's highlight of my month,
And
of my
I was
week,
going to say,
really.
and that's me on every single week of the month in September.
Yeah, you've been in every week, and I'm not mad about it. I'm the opposite of mad about it. I'm ecstatic about it. Next month's book will be with Laura Nettles. We're doing a horror book that I have currently forgotten the name of. Uh, what is that book I'm doing with Laura? I should probably advertise that. It's a book about writing horror, which I feel is very appropriate for October and very appropriate for Laura.
It's like
Uh,
perfect for October.
it is, yeah, it's Laura's recommendation, so it's gonna be good. I'm not sure about a lot of things in life, but I know that Laura knows horror.
Yes. I'm literally reading a book about horror, but not writing it, called Feeding the Monster. This is just the jacket. Why horror has a hold on us, which is
Oh, I
all about.
love that cover though.
It's cool, right? It was a bit of a cover buy, but also it sounded interesting. It's basically about why, as people, we're obsessed with horror in general.
Writing in the Dark by Tim Wagoner is the book me and Laura are
Oh,
doing.
I like the name.
Yeah, I've already made a little thumbnail for it, so this is what the book looks like if you're to get it.
Nice. I kind of feel like Writing in the Dark is a great name for writing horror, but also I would never write horror while in the dark because then I would spook myself probably.
Well, I'm very excited because I have a lot of horror elements to my Wild West world,
I
so
mean,
I
you
think
have a whole Pokédex of monsters, so yeah.
I have a whole Pokédex of monsters, the Redfield Index. So yeah, that's going to be the book for October. I'm going to set up next month's stream sometime, maybe tomorrow during the Trouble stream or sometime before October anyway. Malin might be there. I don't know. I haven't asked, but we should probably be there at some point in time. And if you want to join me for one of my streams, shout out. I have 3 slots available. Literally anyone with a pulse. Free to join. Anyone free. I also think I'm doing October 8th because that's a Tuesday, which is Wallace's release day. I should have Wallace for that day and just plug her book. Oh, she's on book tour. Never mind.
Well, yeah, I'm just gonna talk about her book as well.
Yeah, she's to do an online book tour. Yeah, nope. That's all for this episode of Writers Chat. I'm going to be switching things around next year, which is still 3 months out, but I just want to sow that seed. I think I want to move into a voting system next year where people can vote on whatever books I read for the month. So I'll give a selection, but this is in the future. But yeah, thank you so much for being here, Malin. Thank you so much for being here, people watching. And I guess we'll just wrap up. See you next time.
Bye.